New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it is time for New Thought. Today, you will notice that I appear to be here by myself today. Rev Z is had some last-minute business travel come up and is unable to be with us today. However, that does not change the fact that we have a special guest with us today. If you paid attention to the description of today's show, we have the Right Reverend Marie Kirkland with us here today. Hello, dear one. Welcome aboard.
Hi there. It's so good to be here with you today.
And we are grateful to have you. Now, folks, if you haven't met Reverend Marie before, we're going to hear a whole bunch about her work and her view on what's happening in New Thought and where we're going in the future. However, before we get there, I want to give her a chance to introduce herself and her ministry a little bit. And I'm just going to let you take it away, Reverend Marie.
All right. Thank you. As you shared, Reverend Marie Kirkland, I am the spiritual director and founder of the Living Aligned Focus Ministry. And what we do at Living Aligned is that we bring together people who are on a spiritual path to integrate their practices, their intentional living practices, and practical spirituality, so that we are living whole as we develop new practices and do our meaningful work in the world. So that's one of the things that we do in the ministry. And my path has been such that I am just keenly aware. I am keenly aware from life itself, that it is so important to bring my whole self into everything that I do. So not my work or my skills or my learning or anything in ministry and spirituality. It is to live it, right, in that practical sense as I am moving through life and living and doing the different things that I'm doing. So yeah, it's the practical application of it.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. And part of what I love, folks, is Reverend Marie, you've been doing, and yours ministry is really not only a focus ministry, but a virtual focus ministry as well.
Yes.
And what I love is New Thought Media Network, we were born almost in response to the pandemic. However, you were born before the pandemic.
Yes.
And I know for me, the vision of what we're doing now today here in New Thought Media Network, the vision of what we've become in a few years was always there. I'm sure the same was true for you. So it didn't just poof, turn itself on. But share with us a little bit about the evolution. How did the vision begin to reveal itself to you, and what moved you into virtual ministry prior to the pandemic?
Yes. So the evolution of Living Aligned was the fact that I'm located in Fayetteville, North Carolina, right? I'm located here, and when I was introduced formally to New Thought, there was not a center here located. And so the center that I began at, which is used to be the Center for Conscious Living in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it is now the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living. And so we would travel about maybe an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half to go up to the center, right? Mm-hmm. And then, at one point, when there was a transition at the center, then I traveled to Durham, which was like even further. And then I traveled to Charlotte, which was 3 hours away, when I did my practitioner training. And what was important to me is that geography should not define somebody's spiritual journey. Okay, it should not define the spiritual journey. And so wherever you are, wherever I wanted to be able to continue that journey. Now I went where I was called to go, right? Because of course, if there is a calling, we're going to answer the call, right? It's kind of futile not to, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so I didn't want anybody else to be limited, by their geography. So once I became a practitioner, I launched a license, not spiritual circles, but a licensed study group, Everyday Spiritual Living, which when I became a practitioner, then that transitioned into Fayetteville Center for Fayetteville Teaching Chapter, Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter here. And that began to be virtual as well as in person. We had the space in person. And then the vision was always to reach people wherever they are. And when I became a minister, and we launched this focus ministry and merged the teaching chapter and the ministry, I knew that the place where I wanted to be was where everybody can be fed, nurtured, and to grow spiritually. And so we've been online. And yeah, it's been wonderful to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you. And you use the Mighty Network platform.
Yes.
You're using that network to build your your community. Tell us a little bit more about that. Because it's not like, I'm not going to ask you for your Facebook page. Not going to do much good. We do have a website to share with you. So we'll share that in a moment. But your website really leads right into your Mighty Network, and that's a little bit more of a private community. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, the Mighty Network, what it is and what it does allows people to do is to create their own culture. Okay, and so this is a sacred space where people can come together, and it allows us to connect as a community to build that community culture, and also have courses, right? Create circles. So we have what we call circles, where we're in community with each circle has its own big purpose. Mm-hmm. And so we connect in that way. So it has membership, it has different, just like you would do any other community, but it's right there and we're outside of Facebook. And so when people come into the community, it's a safe and sacred community. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm not as much of a member as I could be. But I got keys to get into the first, into the main area, into the kind of like the town square, a place where people can connect and start to explore what you have to offer. But I'm not immediately thrown into something that I'm not anticipating or expecting.
Yes, you can come on in and explore. And then there are circles that you can go into and connect with other people and begin to just create that community, right? So, for example, if I can share with you a couple of our circles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we have the Live Line Now book circle, and what that does is it brings people together to rediscover that inner wisdom, right? Through books that invite us to embrace that curiosity, right? And gain a better understanding as ourselves. So, as we just deepen our spiritual practice. So we have the book circle. And right now, what we're doing is we are exploring the book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And so this is a powerful book, and we meet every week. And when you come into the circle, you'll not only have the sessions where we meet, but there's also videos on the book. There is a Spotify playlist with interviews on the author. There are quotes that you receive each week. So there are different things to grow through and as. So that's one of the things. And we also have a spiritual thought leadership circle. And this is for our Centers for Spiritual Living Ministers. And basically, what we are doing is we are leaning into the business, spiritual, and leadership aspects and navigating this rapidly changing spiritual environment. And that is a powerful circle as well. Yeah.
Yes. That sounds like something that, well, almost anybody could use.
Yes, application.
Yeah. And, you know, we were talking about that a little bit before the program here today, that in a major way, for New Thought, I believe, to remain viable, we have to give people the opportunities, the skills, the resources to step into leadership.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes.
In bigger and bigger ways, I believe. And now I come from an aspect of this community, of the greater New Thought community, which was my first minister, very, very really stressed that fact.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to serve people and to serve the people's needs, but equally, we're here to support and serve the evolution, the growth of leaders from aspirants or from, you know, people walking in the door, but from the people that are already leading in different areas of their community, and help them to see how they can incorporate this into their leadership skills and styles as well.
Yes, it's very important to, well, it has been important to me to give back to this community, to this teaching, to Centers for Spiritual Living, in which my life has changed and continues to evolve, right, on a monthly, daily basis. And so I also give back and I serve our greater community, the global community, in several different ways. So there's many different ways that a person can serve in your local community, in your focus ministry, by volunteering and being on different committees, as well as in the global, you know, community. So service, giving that sacred service is one of the ways to not only support the community, but to grow ourselves as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Cool. What's one of, this just kind of strikes me, what's one of the most like inspiring conversations or interactions or experiences have you had in the leadership circle, in these types of connections? And we're not asking for names or details or anything, but share with us a little bit about what people might experience if they're part of that group.
Wow. I would say one of the profound experiences that we've had, and when we get together each week, what we're doing is we are exploring, right, a book that is outside of New Thought. I said it's either one of the three areas: it's spirituality, it is business, or leadership. So we're exploring a book. For example, we did the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, it's a great book. So we're exploring it. Not only do we look at it from what is occurring in alignment with our ministries and what the author is saying, we also look at it from the lens of a minister and how it can impact our different ministries. For example, ministers are inside of the circle who are retired, right? Retired ministers, but still serving in the global community, focus ministers, and also pulpit ministers. So you have a different range of perspectives and viewpoints. So that's one of the things that we do, is look at it from that perspective, and we ask the questions. And what is great about it is each week, I'll open it up, but each week a different minister facilitates. Right? So it is indeed, we are co-facilitating and we're growing in that way. And then at the end of the book, after each week, you know, we'll go through it. And at the end, what we're doing is we have what's called it's kind of like a round table. Let's look at it through the lens of religious science. Right? And how does it impact? And so it's not only we're reading something and have knowledge. How are we going to use this? How are we going to grow our ministries? And what do we do? What is next? How can we add to the body of work of the person who we just read? What does that really mean? How can we change and grow our ministries. And so that within that, we've seen, we've developed a great, it's a tribe, okay? So we come here to like, okay, let me take a break and remember who I am, and let's go ahead and connect and learn something new. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's what I have for you.
That works, because what I hear you describe, and I think you were just about to say it, a learning community.
Yes, it is.
And not only a community that is learning something, but a community that's learning how to be together.
Yes.
And that is imperative. Both aspects of that, from my perspective. You've got to learn to be together, but also be open to, I'm having new revelations, I'm having new insights, I'm coming to a new awareness of maybe where I didn't do as well as I thought I was doing in the past, or where I want to do differently in the future. And the person right next to me, I have to trust, is having that same experience, but it's not exactly the same as my experience.
Exactly. And what I found is that when someone shares, I'm like, oh, okay, I hadn't considered that. Now let me take another, let me look at that a little differently. It expands, how I show up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's, I think that's a big key for any spiritual leader, is it's not my way or the highway, folks.
Right. Right.
Right. And I haven't experienced this very often in New Thought, but I did experience it in many other places around spirituality prior to my introduction to New Thought, that no, it's my way or the highway. You're going to do it the way we tell you to do it, or you're damned to hell. And really, I think this comes back to that point of, we don't teach you what to think, we teach you how to think.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I was sharing with someone, actually in the circle, is that when my children, when they were little, and I would teach them that the reason why you go to school is to learn how to think for yourself, and what we do is that we're learning how to think, and then going even beyond that, what we're learning, is just a beginning. And even though we think that we know,
Yep.
As we evolve, we know from a different space, so we get to know even more.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, folks, if you wonder what you've stumbled in here to today, this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. We're talking with Reverend Marie Kirkland. She's a spiritual leader of the Living Aligned Focus Ministry. We invite you to check out what they're doing over there. You see here on our screen share that right near the top is a blue bar. That's how you can join the private community. But there's also all kinds of information here that you can learn more about who everybody is and how this all happens, as well as your obvious, always want to get on the newsletter list. That's all I got to say. If you're not on the newsletter list, get on the newsletter list. And then more information that you can get around Living Aligned Focus Ministry. But really, the proof is in the pudding. It's getting in and getting connected and starting to communicate and starting to really be a part of what's happening here, I think. Yes, folks, we're going to take a quick break here on the New Thought Media Network. Let Reverend Marie wet her whistle and take a breath and all of that. We invite you to stay with us. However, though, we'll be right back here with more about New Thought Media Network in just a moment. Stay tuned. And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Robert Brzezinski. My co-host, Reverend Elzia, is out today. However, we've got a special guest with us, Reverend Marie Kirkland from the Living Aligned Focus Ministry. So glad you're with us. Folks, if you're out there watching along, feel free to chat with us. We love to say hello. Christopher, good afternoon from Detroit. Glad you're with us, sir. And Facebook, YouTube. If you don't chat along, I don't know you're there, folks. If you do, we do. And if you're watching at a later time or a rebroadcast, hey, feel free to share your comments, thoughts as well. We'll get around to making sure that we answer and acknowledge those as we go. So, all right. So, Reverend Marie, we like to generally spend the second portion of our show, the second segment of our show, taking a little bit of a deeper dive into really where is New Thought taking us? And myself, I look at this. The philosophy is a little over 100 years old or so now. It depends on when you want to start counting, but let's say roughly a little 100 to 120 years old at this point. This philosophy's been around, and it's proven itself time and time again in the ability for physical healing and the ability for mental and spiritual and emotional healings, and the outpicturing, the form that the philosophy takes has changed over the years, but in some ways it seems like maybe it's changing a little more slowly than culture itself. And I'd love to hear, especially as a virtual minister, how do you see the evolution of spiritual community from where it's been to where we are to where we're going?
Wow. Okay, so where do I see the future? Well, the future is now. The future is us. And as you showed on my my website, living now, living forward, right? Living now, living aligned, living forward. And so the future is now. And what do I mean by that? Is that do you know how we see New Thought, but we don't recognize that it's New Thought because it may not have the label, okay?
Right.
And so it is already here in a commercialized version. And where I see it going is that it can be anywhere a person can be, but we have to have the application to support that person. So it may not be inside of a brick and mortar building, right? It's going to be right where we are. And as we evolve individually, then it's going to ripple out. Now, one of the things I am an advocate of in my work that I do as a doctoral student in change management, organizational development, is that I see the organization shifting to where not only is what we teach supports other people, but it supports us, its leaders, the ministers, practitioners, the leaders in the community in such a way where we are nourished as well, right? So the well-being, right? The well-being of what we're doing shows forth. So we have that work-life enrichment. And as we do that, we're better able to support other people right where we are, right where they are. For example, have you ever heard of a spiritual leader becoming burnt out?
No, never. That's so foreign to me. What do you mean?
So shifting that paradigm where we are practicing as much as we are teaching, where we are caring for ourselves as much as we are caring for others, right? And then we are able to do an outreach that supports us in our community right where we are and in the global community, even better.
Right.
So we're living this teaching as we're doing our meaningful work. So this is where I see it going. And I see it going, that's how I see it expanding. And just as you and I are doing right now, virtually, connecting with people. And not only in our communities, but in other organizations, other global organizations. For example, we have the Parliament of World Religions coming up, where all of the the world's religions come together. So going across, you know, religious borders, I would say,
Yes.
connecting with other communities.
Yep.
But first, we have to take care of ourselves.
Yes. I'm all for the self-care.
Yes. Yes.
There's nothing wrong with taking a day and not turning anything on.
Oh, yes.
I don't feel like it today. Sorry, boss. I don't feel like it. I'm taking the day off. Nothing wrong with that on occasion. Not every week, but on occasion. And if anybody on my team is listening, I don't know that I said that, but it's the balance, right? It's the yes. I'm so with you. It's the balance, and for me, that balance has to also include. I just did it. My motion was this way for balance. I think the balance has to include the fore and aft as well.
Yes. Yes.
Time to be present in what's happening right this moment, and time to be out on the skinny branches of the vision.
Yes.
To be way out beyond where anybody else might be sometime, and be like, what then play the what if game.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was no homelessness in America? What if there was what if we started with our local community and there was no homelessness in Denver? What if there was no homelessness in Fayetteville?
Mm-hmm.
What if there was no drug problem in this area or in this community? What if there was a greater sense of peace and accomplishment and empowerment for our youth in these areas, And I've seen you, I've imagined you in that role so often because of what you're doing in the world of virtual community. It's inspiring.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It is reaching people right where they are and right from where we are and going out into the communities. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. It is so very important.
For us, that's, I think, one of our newest challenge, our next big challenge as well, is we now have so many people involved, and yet we're diversified in our geography. And in a traditional church, hey, we're gonna build a house, we're gonna work with Habitat for Humanity, or we're gonna go to the local shelter and do this or that. Those opportunities sometimes are a little more available, but I also think that sometimes they're a little bit easier to just make a quick donation and be done. The virtual world, we now have to find the ways to motivate our individuals in each and every community that they're in to be involved in some way, whatever way that might be, I believe.
One of the visions that we had when we launched Living Aligned was to have circles in the different communities where we are. Right. So when you come into the community, the Mighty Network, it'll show you if there are people in your local area. It'll show members near you. And one of the visions that we foreseen a few years ago was to be able to connect and, for example, have a Living Aligned circle, say in Savannah, or one in, say, Las Vegas, different places. So that is possibly a future that we will still, allow the seeds to develop and nurture and unfold.
Right.
And that would be a way to be present in that area.
I love that idea. And then it's not you sitting on some throne somewhere saying, hey, you guys in Vegas, go do this thing. It's the people of that community saying, we've learned from these principles, from these classes, from this connection, from this community, and now we're going to outpicture it as we see, not as some organization or someone on high says this is what's got to happen.
Right. And there's still a connection where they can come together with each other and with the greater community. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we talk about it here on this program a lot. The need for the traditional in-person Sunday service is never going to go away.
Yes.
People are always going to want that experience. However, I believe people are, for the most part, done with that being their only spiritual experience.
Yes. A both and experience.
Right.
Both and yes, I'm not sure about yourself, but that's how I came through. Um, you know, religious science is having that in-person experience.
Yeah.
And there, yes, there is something so profound with connecting with people and being together and growing together. So
Yeah.
I do like the both and experience. And anytime I travel, not as much as I used to before, but I'm getting back to traveling more as we all are. I will go to different centers wherever I travel to, and that is always a joy to connect with other ministers and connect with other communities, as well as speaking at other communities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I came up in a physical community. I found this through a physical community. I don't know. Now, this was also 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 years ago, the internet and the virtual landscape was vastly different.
Yes, indeed. Yes, no Zoom at that time. Right.
I seem to remember Yahoo having chat rooms back then, public chat rooms you could, which were horrendous and horrible and nasty. Uh, but uh, but we now have so yes, I came up in that realm, and it's interesting because I said this earlier, right? The vision never goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably first time I think I uttered the term "a church without walls."
Mm.
Was probably 2003 or 2004, something in that area. And I only found this philosophy in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just probably and started education right away. So probably hadn't come in somewhere in practitioner training 03, 04, realizing that there's a vision for a church without walls where we can have both. We can have that in person, but transcend into other areas, other realms. And really, has this philosophy not always been a teaching of go out and live it in your life and prove it to yourself first?
Yes, and prove it in the laboratory of our lives.
Yeah.
We can read all of the sacred texts, right? And we can probably quote them and you know whatever that looks like. But if we cannot apply it to our lives, I'm not sure what the value is. So this is a practical application of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we apply it to our lives, we're given the insight on how to take action and make it available to others.
Yes, indeed, indeed. That living example.
Yes.
Not the only example, but just okay, well, I'm not sure what Robert is doing, but I want to know more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jesus isn't the only one that ever created a miracle or experienced a miracle or demonstrated a miracle or even just stood on the sidelines and went, yay, for a miracle, right? It's, we're all, that to me, that's like the kernel that is so simple and yet so elusive. That sense of oneness, of realizing that the ability, the power, the presence is within all of us.
Yeah.
And the only thing holding each of us back from our greatness is our own belief that we can't have what we don't have.
Yes, and there is one of the um, one of the beauty I think of being in community is being with people who are, we often say like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
I like aspirational, you know.
Yeah.
Being with people like we're connecting right now, and we're talking about the future of new thought and connecting with one another and having these conversations is, I believe, the power of connection and the
Yeah.
power of community. And I think that's also something that is for us in the future, even more of that.
Yeah. I like that. Like aspirational.
Yes, yes.
It's we say it a lot on this program and in other places around this network. We can sit around and pray all we want.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a vital, and that is vital to changing the experience of the plant on our planet, the experience, human experience.
Yes.
And that change in consciousness has to be followed by more than just more time on the cushion.
Indeed, indeed. And I can have conversations with someone who is not like-minded. We can have deep, profound conversations. And someone who is like aspirational, we can change the world.
Right.
You know, we can create different paradigms and create that shift, that transformational shift in the world for that future. Yeah.
Where two or more are gathered, right?
Indeed.
and in ministerial folks, we say, where two or more are gathered, there is potluck. There is somebody planning a potluck for Sunday right this moment. Yes. But, well, and I love the conversation we're having, because when we look at it, your ministry and New Thought Media Network are, let's say, on parallel paths.
Mm-hmm.
And we're mirror images. We're part of the multiverse. And because both the aspects where what you provide is a little bit more of an inclusive, facing inward community, looking to each other and learning together in that regard, and we're a little more outward facing. Let's point the spotlights out in the world and be as many places as absolutely possible. Both aspects are necessary for what comes beyond what you're doing and what we're doing.
Yes. Yes, this is true.
Right. What you're building now is the foundation of something we may never see the pinnacle of, but is going to be different and is going to serve in its own unique way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I believe we need as many people building these experiences, building communities, building opportunities and organizations, or let's say incorporating these philosophies into their organizations and communities, as it is, that it seems to me like New Thought is on the precipice of overnight stardom.
I like that.
Where suddenly it's like the 1,000th monkey. Everybody suddenly realizes how powerful and how easy this philosophy can be.
Yes, and recognize that, oh, yeah, that is New Thought, and that is New Thought, and that is New Thought. Oh, this is not new, but now I know what the name is.
Right.
I now know what it can be. I can apply this. Yes, New Thought.
Yeah. Oh, you mean India RE is New Thought? Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Really? You mean Michael Jackson singing Man in the Mirror is actually, wait a minute. And yes. It's been a handful of years now. There was a television program on for a while called Madam Secretary. And Tia Leone was the primary character. She played the U.S. Secretary of State, and she's in a really tough negotiation with another foreign diplomat somewhere. And in the dialogue of the program that evening, she stops and she looks at the guy who just keeps throwing these objections. You can't do it. It'll never happen. You can't do it. And she stops and she says something to the effect of, we can keep going down that road, and you're right. Nothing will ever happen. Or we can all get on the side of making something happen and get about doing the hard work of creating a world that works better for everyone.
Wow. Yeah. That's the vision right there.
And we just sat there and our jaws dropped, and we're like, okay, so who is it for Beckwith's church that's in that writer's room? Somebody in that writer's room is hanging out at a Center for Spiritual Living, is hanging out in this New Thought philosophy. So doesn't matter, right? Once you know this philosophy, once you start to look for it, it is everywhere. And people are really starting to wake up to that. Yes. When you start to put it all together, it's a little bit more than just Oprah Chopra and Wayne Dyer, right?
Right.
But you put them all together, and now we've got something that might make something. move us forward.
Indeed. Wow. Just the thought of continuing to see that vision unfold, right? And nurturing. I know that we say seed, soil, plant, and so we're continuing to nourish those seeds that are already there.
Yeah.
And looking at how it's showing up in the world. Yeah.
Hey, folks, we're going to do it again. We're going to take a quick break. Let Reverend Marie take a sip of water and let us say thank you to some of the people that make this all possible. Many of you know it takes a village to make a network like this run, and that means the village has got to have a financial department too. So we're going to take a quick moment, say thank you to our donors and sponsors and everyone that's helping to make the financial aspects of all of this run. But please don't go anywhere. This is New Thought Today on New Thought Media Network. We'll be back in just a minute or so.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Hefferlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a super special thank you to Dr. Tracy Brown, RSCP. Thanks for being a super donor. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of our committed givers and organizational sponsors. We love and appreciate you. If you'd like to become part of the New Thought Media Network financial family, please do head on over to the website, ntmedia.org. Click on donate, make it a monthly donation, and we'll include your name in the next version of our thank you video. All right, before we're not quite done here just yet. So, Reverend Marie, I want to thank you for being with us, but I want to keep kind of going and explore a little bit. Number one, before we get too far down the field, what's happening for you and in your ministry? Tell us a little bit about what's coming up next or how you want people to get involved with you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for asking. For one, go out to the website. You can go to livingalignvirtualministry.org. Focus Ministry, Living Aligned Focus Ministry will get you there as well. And you can click on the banner up top and it will take you to our community, to livingalignedcommunity.org. A couple of things that we have coming up. For one, I'm so excited because while our ministry is about almost 4 years old, this December is our third year on Mighty Networks. And so we are expanding, and I'm knowing that we're going to celebrate in some way. And so we are expanding, and we're going to be offering quite a few classes becoming in January. So we have some mindfulness classes coming out. We also have a best practices roundtable, and that is coming out in January as well. So we look forward to connecting with you. Come and check out the Living Aligned community and see what we're doing as we integrate, right, all that we are with our spiritual practices and how we show up in the world.
Yeah. Folks, I want to give you a little peek here. So I am, like I said, a member, and there's all kinds of different topics you can get involved with when we look at these events, spiritual practices, meditation spaces, videos, a full complement. And if you look over on the left there, you'll see even more a full complement of how you can get involved and how you can find various ways to feel supported, to be uplifted, and to be part of a growing and blossoming spiritual community. I love what you're doing, Reverend Marie. I think you're filling a very vital aspect of what's necessary for this philosophy to continue to grow and blossom into the coming decades. So please keep doing what you're doing. Please, please, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. It is so good to be here with you and
It's
connect. We're running, like you said, parallel.
Yep.
In the things we're doing and how we're showing up in the world. So thank you for all that you bring to our communities.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Folks, it's been a fun ride. We've been trying to get this interview to happen like 4 or 5 times now. And that parallel track is really true. And every once in a while, one of us kind of shoots up a flare gun and says, "Hey, still here. Want to hang out for a little while?" And I always learn something, not only about your journey and what makes you and your ministry unique, but I'm always learning something that's an inspiration or a way of saying, "Ooh, can I incorporate that into what we're doing?" Or how can something we're doing better support or perhaps better promote what you're doing and what others are doing in the world? Because for far too long, spiritual communities have inadvertently created silos around themselves. And I'm all about breaking down all those walls and being together and sharing together and connecting together. So perhaps the Parliamentary World of Religions, perhaps sooner, but I look forward to the next time we get a chance to connect.
Indeed. I look forward to it as well.
Yeah. Folks, this is the New Thought Media Network. This is New Thought Today. We're here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time on the New Thought Media Network. We bring you a different, either myself and my co-host, Reverend Elzia, or we often try to bring in all kinds of great voices. And again, we want to thank Reverend Marie for being with us. Please do head on over to the Living Aligned Virtual Ministry.org. Check out what they're doing there and consider becoming a part of that community as well. We're going to get out of here for now. Thanks for being with us. I look forward to being with you again soon. Until that time, please make it a great day. We wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
Peace and blessings.